episode 4, Max is trying to console 11 that Billy is fine, but 11 is not buying this at all. And she shouldn't, because while Max is doing this, Billy is busy feeding Heather's parents to the Mind Flayer. Now, real quick, I know I said earlier the Demigorgon, but my wife came in and said, you idiot, it's not the Demigorgon, it's the Mind Flayer. My bad. Mind Flayer, Demigorgon. At this point, if you're still following me, you know what I'm talking about. The Mind Flayer. So, 11 has really good reason to be wary of Billy. We'll get back to 11 in a minute because the paramedics have arrived at the old woman's home who is busy just chomping down on some delicious fertilizer. And one of the cops says to Nancy and Jonathan, what the hell is going on here? Because it's a very weird scene. Obviously, they've identified themselves from the Hawkins Post, so they have to tell the editor-in-chief from the Hawkins Post about the fact that they have 2 employees breaking into this old woman's home. And when the chief finds out about this, he flips out. Now, keep in mind, he has been taken over by the Mind Flayer, so he's not in the right state of mind, but he loses it, reams Nancy out, and in the process, fires them both. Jonathan drives Nancy home, and Nancy's going, look, this isn't a big deal. Your life's not over. It was just a summer internship, to which Jonathan gets really pissed off and says, this is your privilege right here talking. Like, you have 2 parents, and, you know, they have good jobs, and I don't. Like, this was a big deal for me, and I just blew it. Eventually, they end up kind of breaking up. They basically have an adorable teenage fight. But they don't leave on the best of terms, and Nancy's clearly upset. Later on that day, Mrs. Wheeler, clearly sensing that something's going on with Nancy, gives her a little pep talk and says how much of a fighter she is, and if the Hawkins Post wants to fire her over this story, but she truly thinks it's a story, then go find that story and sell it to a bigger paper and make the Hawkins Post pay. We'll get back to Nancy in a little bit because Hopper is kind of pissed off that he was attacked, understandably so, but he wakes up in his cabin and Joyce is standing there. And she has the plan of tracking this guy because she has some of his license plate, and Hopper says that's not going to be enough, to which Joyce responds with, well, it was a motorcycle, I don't know if that helps, and it does help. All of a sudden, Hopper remembers that there was a guy leaving the mayor's office that day who had a motorcycle helmet, so he barges into the mayor's office unannounced and starts demanding answers because he is not in the mood to talk. At first, the mayor tries to play hardball and doesn't want to give him any answers, but Hopper literally ragdolls him and at one point puts his finger through a cigar cutter, and finally the mayor starts talking. The mayor reveals that the guy who attacked Hopper was sent from Starcourt, the people that also built the mall. They want to buy up other properties around Hawkins, Indiana, and to do that, they're greasing the palms of the mayor. So this guy brings the mayor gifts from time to time, and the mayor makes it easy for Starcourt to expand their property. Hopper asks if he has proof of these transactions, and he says, yeah, but they're at my house. So doesn't give the mayor a choice, grabs them, and off they go to the house. And when they get there, the mayor does provide the deed of sale, and Hopper says, I find it kind of weird that you have these in your house. And the mayor goes, look, man, these are bad dudes. You don't want to mess with these people. While Joyce is looking around the properties that they've bought up, she realizes all the properties are around the power plant, and that would explain why there was a power outage, and thus her magnets were falling off her fridge. They end up leaving the mayor at his house, chained up and beat up, and eventually the mayor's wife does come home, and he starts yelling, help get me a phone, because he wants to alert the Russians that obviously Hopper and Joyce are onto him. So off Hopper and Joyce go, looking at the properties that Starcourt has bought, trying to get to the bottom of this. Now, 3 other people that are trying to get to the bottom of it are Robin, Steve, and Dustin. Dustin has continued to case the place and realizes there's only one way into that room, and that's through the front door that's guarded by people with guns. That's when Robin gets an idea, and she grabs a bunch of cash in the tip jar, heads to City Hall, and buys up blueprints of the mall. She realizes, yeah, there's no door, but there are vents that you can climb through and get to that room. The problem is everybody's too big to fit in that vent. Everybody except Lucas's sister, Erica. Lucas's sister, by the way, is a straight savage. She makes them make the entire menu of Scoops Ahoy, and after they make it, that's when she says, what I want in return is ice cream for life. So shout out to Erica. She's able to get in the room with ease, and she lets the other 3 in. And while they're looking through boxes that are supposed to go to a Chinese restaurant, there is some weird shit, including this random tube of just green stuff. Not stuff that you would find in a Chinese restaurant. All of a sudden, while they're inspecting this green tube, the room starts moving and it just shuts down. And it's not really a room, it's an elevator. And it quickly starts going down. Now let's get back to 11 and Max, who have been contacted by Lucas, Mike, and Will, because they think 11 can help after Will has revealed to them that he's back. So Will quickly fills the girls in, and the question they have is, we closed that portal. And Will says, yeah, but the thing that was in me, you guys forced it out by putting me in that hot box, and you might have closed him into this world. And in the process, you pissed him off, and he might be looking for another host. And that host obviously is Billy, so they all start spying on Billy at work, and he's there, but he's acting weird. He's completely covered up, and it's the dead of summer. And Max continues to make excuses for him, but his behavior is too weird to ignore. Just to make sure, though, they come up with the plan of trapping him into the sauna at night, because if you do, you'll see the mind flare start to creep out of him. So they wait until nighttime, and their plan works. They hook up a tape recorder to one of those CPR dummies, and they place it in the sauna, and they're goading him in by taunting him over and over, and he falls for it. He walks right in the sauna, and that's when 11 closes it in. Pretty quickly, he gets uncomfortable and starts pleading to Max, who for some odd reason feels really bad for him, and she gets kind of close to the window. And when this happens, Will gets that really uneasy feeling, and that's when Mike yells, "Get away from the door." And it's a good tip because Billy has busted through the window of the door, not the door itself, but he's got a sharp object and he's out for blood. While this is going on, you're seeing the mind flare come out of him, confirming their original thoughts, and he starts smashing against the door that's chained up, and they're all like, there's no way he gets to that door, right? No way. But he does. He actually busts through the door. Now, when this happens, 11 uses her powers to pick up a barbell with a lot of weight and smash him against the wall. But amazingly, Billy is like stupid strong and actually throws it back at her. It knocks 11 down, and Billy picks her up and starts choking her out, and that's when Mike comes to her defense and hits him with some metal object. He goes to hit him again, but Billy ends up catching the object, and now his intention is to Mike. Right before Billy can do really big damage to Mike, 11 uses her powers and throws Billy through a wall. And that's when Billy just completely takes off and runs away. 11 collapses into Mike's arms. She's completely traumatized, freaked out. She's got blood in her nose, and she's really upset. Billy ends up retreating back to the abandoned steel mill and tells Heather it was the same girl. She could have killed me, and Heather says, yeah, but she can't kill all of us. And there's literally an army of people down in the basement of this abandoned steel mill, along with the mind flare. Now, one of those people that isn't there but is taken over by the mind flare is that old woman who's in a hospital. Nancy has taken her mother's advice and gone to the hospital to continue the investigation. When all that stuff was happening with Billy, it looked like it was happening with the old woman. You could see the mind flare creeping out of her. Her heart rate started racing, but yet nobody was attacking her. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please consider subscribing to the channel. If you do not see the next video up in one of the end screens, not to worry, it'll be up in the next couple days. But the most important thing is that you like and subscribe and all that good stuff.